everybody, it's Jackie. Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk to you about my absolute favorite eyeshadow brand, and that is Viseart, or I think it's really pronounced Viseart. I don't know. It's French. It's Parisian, made in Paris, France for the most part. Now it is made in the United States as well now. And what I want to talk to you about is the 12 pan palettes. They are my absolute favorites. I have 10 of them. I have a couple theory palettes, a Petit Pro, and a couple of the, I guess they're 9 pans that are, I've got most made in France and a few made in the USA. I'm not really sure how I feel about that, but they're absolutely the best eyeshadow. And the reason that I love them over Natasha Denona is that they are very, what's the word? The way the palettes are laid out and curated, they flow together. They don't have like randoms all over the place for the most part. They are either an all matte or an all shimmer. Now, they don't have a lot of glitter and sparkle. They do have the Grande Pro Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. I used to have the Volume 1, but I found it, which is an all matte palette, but I found the shades a little too dark for me, so I actually sold it. And then the Volume 2 has got all the different finishes in it, and I didn't purchase that because I didn't, well, those palettes are like $219 or something like that, really expensive, and I did that with Natasha Denona's big palettes, and I'm not saying I regret it, but I don't hardly ever use those palettes, and I figure I have enough of the 12 pan that I didn't need to do that. And the Grande Pro Volume 3 is all like a bright rainbow palette, and that is very pretty, but again, I don't feel like I need it because I have most of those shades in her 12 pans. So let's get into it, and maybe you can kind of tell what I'm talking about. The first is the famously boring neutral matte, which is palette number 1. This palette is made in France, and even though it looks boring, it has everything that you need to make a beautiful eye look. And that's the thing about the Viseart shadows. They're very true to color, to what you see in the pan. You don't have to be very good with makeup. They'll blend themselves. They look beautiful. They wear all day. They don't crease. They're just the best, in my opinion. And this palette, when I bought it, I was like, oh my God. I almost didn't buy it because this is not a palette that attracts me in the least. I like color, and this is boring, but you have all your transition shades. You have some great, you've got the white cream, you've got the black, you've got an awesome gray, this is a beautiful orange, and it's just everything you need for transition. So no matter what look you're doing, and especially if you're a beginner just starting out, this neutral matte palette is a must as a basis for everything. Or you can just wear it by itself for a stunning complementary look to any kind of skin tone. So that is the neutral matte Volume 1. It is an all matte palette with your browns and your beiges and grays and black and white, and it's just you just have to try it, and then you'll love it. Okay, so that is number 1. Number 2, I just featured in my best palettes for spring, and it is the Boheme Dream, and I absolutely love this. This is an all satin palette, and you have your shades of blue, pink, green, yellow, and you've got a couple coppery colors. It is so pretty. It's a great palette for spring, and this is kind of what I'm talking about with these palettes. They just flow. So no matter what look you're doing, anything that you're looking for, you can find in a Viseart palette. The only thing I ever have to add to my Viseart palettes is I use my Inglot AMC pigments for the extra sparkle because you don't really, unless you get the Grande Pro Volume 2, you're not going to get any of those really glittery finishes with Viseart. You're going to have satins and mattes for the most part. But this is an outstanding palette, and it is one of my all-time favorite Viseart 12-pan palettes. These palettes are all $80. This one is also made in France, and what I do is whenever Sephora is having a sale and I can get these for 20% off, that's when I pick up one and add to my collection. Or you can also purchase them at Beautylish, and right now, well, I think it just ended today, they've got the $20 for every $100 that you spend. You can get a gift card, but it's just rarely on sale, but it is, I feel like, investment quality eyeshadow. And if you have Viseart palettes, you can pass on just about everything else. Okay, so I absolutely love that, and that is palette number 2, Boheme Dream. Now palette number 3, this is Bridal Satin, and Bridal Satin is also made in France, and it is a beautiful, as it is described, bridal satin colors. You've got just beautiful light pink, an icy baby blue, you've got a really pretty apricot, you've got some really pretty browns and golds, you do have a purple, and it is just an outstanding palette, perfect for brides. So that is number 3, Bridal Satin. Very, very pretty, and I think that would also make a good spring palette too. There's enough light shades in there, but you do, again, you've got a cream, you've got a dark to deepen things up, and then you've got some transitions. So that's a really good palette, but this one is all satins. So you do have to mix your Viseart palettes when you're buying these palettes here from France. Okay, so that was palette number 3. Palette number 4, I absolutely love. This is the Dark Matte palette, and this is a great palette for fall. It's also made in France, and this is really a gorgeous fall palette. You've got your deeper plums, your blues, your greens, just all the deep colors, perfect for fall. This is a great companion palette for, say, the Natasha Denona Metropolis palette, or wow, even, yeah, the Norvina Pro Pigment Volume 3 palette, but just all your dark mattes that you need for your deeper grungy looks, and it's just so stunningly beautiful. And you've got a little bit of everything with your purple, your berry, your blue, your green, your yellow, your peach. Just another outstanding Viseart palette, and I always have this with my fall palette collection. So that is a really good one. Absolutely love it. This one's also made in France. Okay, next, this is my least favorite of the series. This is number 5, and it is called Sultry Muse. Now, Sultry Muse is also made in France, and this one is some satins, and it's just kind of, it would probably pair very well with neutral mattes, because actually, yeah, that's what I would use it with, because you've got your satins that the neutral matte doesn't have. Let me get neutral matte back out. That's what I need to do with this palette, because I never use this palette, but I just discovered how I could use it. Yeah, that is the deal. That's exactly what I'm gonna do with it. Here's number 1, and then here's number 5, Sultry Muse, and you can just see how they go together, because here you have your satin shades that go. Now I'm gonna keep these two palettes together because I just discovered how I can use it, because that exactly has the satin shade that goes with the orange, and it's got, yeah, that is the companion palette for that. So pretty. Okay, well, I thought I had all my Viseart down, but I just learned something new. So that's what you can do with Sultry Muse, is pair it with number 5 and number 1 definitely go together. That looks like a match made in heaven. Now for some reason I didn't get palette number 6 and number 7. I don't even remember what they were, unless I just misplaced them and put them not with these palettes. I'm not sure. There were a couple that I didn't pick up, or yeah, I don't know. I don't have palette 6 and 7. So let's go next to palette number 8. Palette number 8 is the Editorial, and the Editorial I absolutely love. This is the palette that I was talking about yesterday with my spring. That this is like a summer rainbow palette. I absolutely love this palette. This has got all your bright shades, your greens, your yellows, your blues, your fuchsia, your purple. It is spectacular. This is, if you don't want to spend the money to get the Editorial number 3 Grande palette, which is the big rainbow palette, you can get this small rainbow palette when it goes on sale, and you'll have all the rainbow shades that you need. So this is the Editorial palette, and I think it pairs perfectly with my favorite number 2 Boheme Dream, and look how beautiful those go together. So you have this is an all matte palette, the Editorial, with an all satin shade of Boheme Dream. So those pair together perfectly, and they're spectacular, and I absolutely love them together. They're so pretty. But I think this is more of a summer vibe, where this is a spring vibe, but they go perfectly together, and you can build these shadows up. You can use a really light hand and build them, and they blend like a dream, and they stay true to color, and they're very easy to work with, and even a beginner can use them and come out with a very, very beautiful look. And I absolutely love that number 8 Editorial palette. It's just got some great, I love that palette. So, so pretty and so bright. It's not a neon, but it's very, very bright, and that's also made in France. So that is a really, really good one, and that was number 8. Okay, number 9 is, what is number 9? I don't use this one very much. This is let me see what it is. I forgot what it is. Oh yeah. Number 9 is Bijou Royale. Yeah. Bijou Royale. Now Bijou is street. So, Royal Street, and I just know that because my mom lives in New Orleans, and they have Bijous there when the French settled New Orleans down in the French Quarter. So that's where they have all the Bijous, and I believe they have a Bijou Royale as well. But anyways, this is really pretty. It's an all satin palette, and you have got a really, really pretty dark forest green. You've got a real pretty steel blue here. You've got some deep berry tones, and actually this one pairs well with the dark matte. So let me put the dark mattes together with Bijou Royale, and this is also made in France. So these look like they go really well together. Again, the dark mattes with the satins of Bijou Royale. I don't use this palette very much, but I do go into it from time to time to get that deep green. And I just love having a, I'm going to have to go back and see what palettes 6 and 7 are, because I probably am going to complete this collection at some point. Maybe there's nothing that I want for spring, but I might complete this collection. That is very, very pretty. It's got a really pretty gold in it, and a real pretty pink there. But that is, again, number 9, Bijou Royale. Okay? So next we have number 10, and number 10 is the last of the Paris 12 pan palettes, and this is the warm matte palette number 10, and this is really pretty. I like this. It's got all your warmer shades. you've got a yellow and orange, and this is a great palette, like the #1 palette, because you've got all your transitions. And I don't use it too much because I don't wear warm shades all the time, but it is a great warm matte palette. And that's another reason why I have all these Viseart palettes, is because all matte palettes are best for ladies of a certain age because it doesn't show texture and wrinkles. If you're having problems with your eyeshadow making you look older, and you really like shimmers, I mean, I am a shimmer and sparkle girl, and but shimmer and sparkle can settle into the creases and make you look older than you actually are. And if you have a problem with your eyeshadow making you look older, go all matte. All matte will look so much better on you, and this is just a very, very pretty palette, and that is #10 Warm Mattes. Okay, so next we have, this is the first palette, the Cool Matte palette, but this is made in the United States, and I really do like this palette a lot. This is the Cool Matte palette, and the Cool Matte is number, let me see what number it is. It's number 11, so keeps the sequence the same. And this is a beautiful palette, and I find the quality to be the same on this palette. I absolutely love this Cool Matte palette. Look at this row of purples right here. You have got a very light lavender, and then you have a medium, and then you have a deeper purple. It is so beautiful. Then right here you have a very nice light blue with a darker blue. This is gorgeous all matte palette. Then here you've got a gray with a black, which is fantastic. And then you have a light brown and a dark brown to deepen up for transitions. And then you do have your white, and then you have a really nice peach and a taupe shade. So this is the number 11 Cool Mattes palette, and it is made in the USA. Very, very, very pretty, and I think that this matte palette pairs very well with this one, which is Bridal Satin. So the number 3 Bridal Satin pairs very well with the number 11 Cool Matte. So you can see you can use the blue mattes in the Cool Mattes and pair them with the satins in Bridal Satin, and they go so well together. Can you see that? Those are so pretty. I absolutely love these two together. I'm really finding that these matte palettes pair perfectly with these satin palettes, and you can get some really, really beautiful looks. Okay, and then my last but not least 12 pan palette is the newest one. I think it's the newest one. This is the Koi palette, and the Koi palette is also made in the United States. It's a very pretty spring palette, and I think it's number 12. Yeah, this is palette number 12, which is the Koi palette, and it is very, very pretty for spring. I think it also pairs very well with number 8 Editorial if you put them together, just like the number 2 Boheme Dream. So here is your Koi palette with your matte Editorial Bright, and you can see how you've got the lime greens and the berry tones, and it's just so pretty. You do have a couple purples over here that this palette doesn't have, but for the most part, the blues, that blue and that shimmery berry color and the greens, and it's just, those pair wonderfully together as well. So that is your newest Koi palette, which is great for spring, paired with your Editorial Brights. So I absolutely love that. This one's made in France. This one's made in USA. So, I don't really see a difference, but I'm just going to say I prefer the French ones just because they're from France. But anyways, okay, so that takes care of my 12 pan Viseart eyeshadow collection. So there's 10 of those. So at 80 bucks, oh my god, that's $800. But I don't think I paid $80 for any of them. I don't pay retail, so I either waited for a sale and I at least got 20% off on those. But anyways, I absolutely love that, and I like how they're so cohesive and go together. I love Natasha Denona palettes, but they're all over the place. You know what I'm saying? You've got to really go in and know what you want to do. You can't just grab a palette. Well, sometimes you can grab a palette, but with Viseart palettes, you can go and you can see how they go together, and it kind of gives you an idea of what to do. Okay, so next I have a couple of their Theory palettes. So their Theory palettes come in a little sleeve, and they're like a little artist easel because they were designed for artists, and they'll fold, and they've got a little mirror, and they kind of fold on themselves, and so you can kind of, I guess, stand them up to work with is the idea. But this is the Nuance Theory palette. I bought this to kind of travel with, but I've never used it, but it's really, really pretty. And the Theory palette is when they started mixing the finishes. So, but this one actually is all satin. So across the top, you've got some, you know, you got your white and a brown and a gold, and then the bottom you've got a peach and a kind of a copper red there. But that is the Nuance Theory palette. I'm sure it's very good. This one's made in France, but I haven't tried it yet. I forgot I had it actually, and I just came across it for this video. But it's a rubberized little easel, and then it's got a little ribbon to open it up, and it's kind of wonky, really. Personally, I don't care for this, but it is small to travel with, and you can just slide it in that sleeve, but put the little ribbon down so your shadow is up. Yeah, that's right. So that is the Viseart Theory Nuance palette. That one's made in France. Okay. This one's made in France too. This is the Viseart Petite Pro, and I bought this to travel with. It's the Petit Pro 1 actually. And this one, again, it opens up. It's got that brown rubberized packaging, and it's kind of the size of a credit card, but it's really, really pretty. It has everything you need, and I bought it to take to Vegas, but then I went and bought some Inglot when I was in Vegas. But you have a really pretty, you've got lights, you've got a white, you've got a berry, you've got a brown, you've got some gold, you've got a real pretty chocolate color. It's just gorgeous for travel, and it's the size of a credit card. So that is the Petite Pro 1 palette. So pretty. I love it. And that one's made in France. So again, it's got the ribbon, and to keep your shadow face up. I like to store my shadow face up. I don't like to store my palettes sitting up like this. I don't like to like down. I always like, I don't know why, but I just like to store my palettes face up. Oh, I forgot to put the sleeve on it. But anyways, that is the Petite Pro Volume 1, but it's the size of a credit card, so it's just great to travel with, because with Viseart a little goes a long way. You don't have to like build and build and build and build, okay? So very, very pretty, made in France. Okay, so next we have this one is made in the United States. This is the Theory palette Amethyst, and again you've got your little easel, and this was the first one that they came out with purples in it. So this is the Theory palettes were all different shades. I really like the Absinthe one. That one's got the greens and the browns. I never did buy it, but I always wanted the Absinthe palette, but I did buy the Amethyst, and you've got some purples and mauves, and it's so, so pretty, and I absolutely love it. And it's just a great palette. I think this one was made in the United States too, if I remember correctly. But this came out before Liaison. Now, I have Liaison as well, but the Amethyst Theory palette, let me just, yeah, this one is made in USA. So pretty. I love this one. I love it. It's nice because they finally you get the 3 satins on the bottom and the 3 mattes across the top. So it's a complete palette. All right, so let's get that Amethyst back in its sleeve. Love that. Then next, here is the Liaison palette. So this is Viseart Liaison. I put this in my spring favorites collection. This has got kind of like an aluminum purple type finish. And this one, I think it's also made in the USA. I had this organized and now I can't remember. Yeah, this one was made in USA. And this is an extension of that purple palette. I think they kind of look similar. Let me get that back out. Maybe if you, yeah, if you have one, maybe you don't need the other. No, you don't. They do look very similar. Okay, so here is the Liaison. And then here is the Theory, the Amethyst Theory palette. So you do have very, very similar shades. So whatever you prefer, you probably don't need both. This was the first palette they came out with that was all purples. So this came out before Liaison, and maybe because they're both made in USA, I don't know. But those look very, very similar. So if you have one, you don't need them both. So pretty. Those shades do look very, very similar. This one actually has got, you've got the 2 purple down at the bottom. That's a deeper one, where this is the pale lilac. So it just depends on if you want the darker purple shade or the lighter purple shade. Okay, that must be why I included that one for spring. But anyways, that is the Liaison palette, and that one is made in the United States, as is that Theory palette. Okay, so 2 more to go. And the next one is the Golden Hour palette, which is also made in USA, and that is my least favorite Viseart palette. I don't hardly ever use it for some reason. And I was so excited about it too. This is the Golden Hour 9-pan palette, and this is made in the United States. And I really liked it because it has a mixture. Well, it doesn't look like my least used. I've used it quite a bit actually, but you have a mix of finishes, and maybe it's just because it's darker, deeper tones. I don't really wear dark. Well, I do in the fall, but not too much. So, but I prefer brighter colors. But it's got a white, and it's got a black, and you've got a brown, you've got some golds, you've got a real nice orange, a real nice red. It is a beautiful palette, so if you're drawn to these shades, this is Golden Hour, and it's a very nice mix of matte and shimmers. But for me personally, this is my least favorite Viseart palette, but I do like it, and it is made in USA. Alright, so last but not least, oh, and these do have a mirror with them. Last but not least is my Petite Pro 5. This is Soleil, and it came out, I think it might have been last summer with apricotine, or was it the summer before last? Anyways, I just love this yellow container, and this one was also made in the USA, pretty sure. Yeah. And it's another credit card size petite palette, and just look how pretty this is. This is a summertime, I absolutely love this. You've got a bright yellow. Again, you've got purple, you've got a fuchsia, you got a white, you've got a color to deepen up with, and you've got a really pretty copper and a real pretty rose. And I just absolutely love this Petite Pro number 5 Soleil. It is so gorgeous. So anyways, that concludes my Viseart eyeshadow palette collection. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope if you're thinking about trying Viseart, you found something in here you liked. I highly recommend the 12 pan palettes over everything. I especially recommend the neutral matte, the dark matte, the Editorial, the Boheme Dream, and the Cool Matte. Yeah, that's right. Neutral matte, Cool Matte, Boheme Dream, Editorial, neutral mattes. Those are my top picks. And for travel, you can't beat the Petite Pros because they're the credit card size with 8 shades. I mean, you just take one of these along and you're all set, or any Theory palette that you like, because you don't have to think about picking out your shades. Everything's really nice and color coordinated. Anyways, my name's Jackie. Please like, subscribe, leave me a comment, leave me a message. I'm so happy that you're here with me. I hope you're staying safe, and I look forward to our next visit. Hope you're having a great week. Bye-bye.